Welcome back, my friends. Modern Horizons 3 is just around the corner, and if you're looking for a new commander to build, but you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, never fear, I've got Imskir Iron Eater just for you. He is a 5/5 demon we can cast for 6, a black and a red, but luckily he has affinity for artifacts. That means he costs 1 generic mana less for each artifact we control. Whenever he ETBs, we can draw X cards and lose X life, where X is half the number of artifacts we control, rounded down. We can also use his ability to pay 3 and a red to sacrifice an artifact, and he can deal damage equal to that sacrifice artifact's mana value to any target. Let's start things off by filling up our board with some cheap artifact creatures like Spectrum Sentinel, Ornithopter, Gingerbrute, Iron Apprentice, and Goldhound. We also have some artifact creatures that can generate mana on their own with Mannequin, Hedron Crawler, Oasis Gardener, Iron Mirror, and Leaden Mirror. We also want to get our hands on some extra lands, so we have Pilgrim's Eye, Scampering Surveyor, Solemn Simulacrum, and Scaretiller. And for some value, we have Treasure Keeper. Whenever it dies, we can reveal cards from the top until we reveal a non-land card with mana value 3 or less, and then we can cast it for free. Whenever the Etched Familiar dies, each opponent loses 2 life and we can gain 2. And also for Modern Horizons 3, we have Wormcoil Larva. It is a 3/3 with a Death Touch and lifelink. Whenever it dies, it'll give us 2 artifact creature worm tokens. Now, making our commander cheaper is great, but let's use that last ability to throw some serious damage at our opponents. We have Skitterbeam Battalion. For 9 mana, we get a 4/4 with Trample and Haste. Whenever it ETBs, if we cast it, we get 2 tokens that are copies of it, but it does have the Prototype ability, so we can potentially cast it for a cheaper cost. We have the well-known Mirror Battle Sphere. It enters and creates 4 1/1 mirrors, and whenever it attacks, we can pump it up and deal some extra damage. A favorite of mine, from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, we get the 3-fold Thunderhulk. Whenever it ETBs, it gets 3 1/1 counters. Whenever it enters or attacks, we get a number of 1/1 gnomes equal to its power. We can also pay 2 and sacrifice an artifact to give it an additional 1/1 counter. And a pretty cool include, we have the Scuttling Doom Engine. It is a 6 mana 6/6 that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, but whenever we sacrifice it to our commander's ability, and it dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. That means we can potentially throw 12 damage at someone's face and catch them off guard. I also enjoy the idea of including cards that generate Power Stones, since they are artifacts that can tap to generate mana to cast more artifacts. One of these is Terisieri's Devastation. It is a board wipe that can double as a Power Stone generator. Now on top of that, we have Ashnod Flesh Mechanist, Excavation Explosion, Visions of Phyrexia, Junkyard Genius, Slagstone Refinery, and Warren Powerstone. And for some extra mana generation, we have one of my favorite Necrons, Illuminor Xeris. We can tap it and sacrifice another creature to add an amount of black mana equal to that sacrificed creature's mana value. Our commander has a built-in discount ability, so let's include a few more cards that have the same, such as Frogmite, Sojourner's Companion, and Metalwork Colossus. Now we also have a Salvage Titan. It is a 6 mana 6/4, but we can actually sacrifice 3 artifacts instead of paying its mana cost. Some people like to have a game plan, and some of us just like to improvise, which brings us to our next section. Battle at the Bridge has Improvise. We can tap one of our artifacts to pay for one of the generic manas and the casting cost. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, and we gain X life. Herald of Anguish will make each opponent discard a card at our end step. We can also pay 1 in the black and sacrifice an artifact to give target creature -2/-2 until end of turn. Sly Requisitioner can help us generate some 1/1 servo tokens. Barricade Breaker and Foundry Assembler are some big creatures we can target with our commander's sacrifice ability. With Saheeli's Directive, we reveal the top X of our library. We put any number of artifact cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then the rest of the cards go into our graveyard. Bottle Cap Blast deals 5 damage to any target. If excess damage was dealt, we get that many treasure tokens. And Inspiring Statuary gives non-artifact spells we cast Improvise. For some overall artifact support, we have Joyra's Familiar and Foundry Inspector. They make our artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Shimmer Mirror allows us to cast our artifacts as though they had flash, which means we can cast them at instant speed. We can tap Steel Overseer to put a 1/1 counter on each artifact creature we control. And with Quicksmith Genius, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under our control, we can discard a card, and if we do, we can draw. For some damage output, we have Reckless Fireweaver. Whenever an artifact ETBs under our control, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. And with Underhanded Designs, whenever an artifact ETBs under our control, we can pay 1, and if we do, each opponent loses 1 and we gain 1. We can also pay 1 in the black and sacrifice it to destroy target creature. We can make some more artifact tokens with Rose Cutthroat Raider and a Silversmith. Rose will also give us red mana whenever we sacrifice a junk token. And with the Dowsing Device, whenever we have 4 more artifacts, we can transform it into the Geode Grotto. With that, we can pay 2 in a red and tap it, and until end of turn, target creature gains haste and gets +X/+0, where X is the number of artifacts we control. Now for some extra support in the form of card draw, we have Costly Plunder, Seize the Spoils, Demand Answers, Reckoner's Bargain, Monumental Corruption, and Big Score. And for some removal, we have Unlicensed Disintegration, Abrade, Feed the Swarm, and Delete. Now, since we will be sacrificing our artifact creatures, some graveyard recursion is a must, so we have a Mirror Retriever and a Scrap Trawler. And for some repeatable recursion, we have Skeleton Shard. We can pay 3 mana and tap it, or pay a black mana and tap it, to return target artifact creature card from our graveyard to our hand. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this budget deck tech for Imskir Iron Eater. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about us, and I will see you in the next one.